setting new standards in podcast excellence. You have joined the WBT, fully focused on business and taxes. Here is your host, Michael Lodge.
And welcome to the WBT. This is Michael Lodge. Thanks for joining me. Glad we can sit down and talk a little bit. Over the last few days, we've been talking about money and finances and how to plan for the end of the year and for 2020 also. And also, we talked about small business. Okay. Today, we're going to talk about your personal life and your budgeting habits. Or you might even do a budget. So you have no habit. I'll be right back.
This is brought to you by Lodge & Co., a business and tax advisory firm where your success is our goal. Call us today toll-free at 888-681-1518 or visit us at www.lodge-co.com and learn more about what we can do for you. Lodge & Co., your source for sound business and tax services.
So yeah, let's be honest, you might not even have a habit of creating a budget. I would probably say that a good many of you out there who are listening to me today, no matter what country you're in, what nation you're in, what city you're in, what house you're in, if you're not creating a budget for every single year and trying to live within that budget, then you are going to put yourself into financial billywhack because you're not going to be able to save money. You're not going to be able to invest your money. You're not going to be able to give your money away to charities that need your money because you've wasted all of your money. So this morning, we're going to talk about how to make a monthly budget that works, okay? And making a monthly budget is a process that if you're single, you do it by yourself. If you're married, you do it together. You both have to take responsibility of creating a budget. You don't have to go to the end of every single month and wonder if you're going to have any money left. So we're going to talk about how do we make a budget. The first thing that you do, get out a piece of paper, get a pencil, put it down in front of you, and let's start going through this together. The first thing that you do, number one, write down your total income for that month, for every single month. You know what your W-2 wages are going to be? But this is your total take-home after tax. This is your total take-home pay after tax. For both you and if you are married, your spouse, okay? Don't forget to include everything. Full-time jobs, second jobs, freelance pay, Social Security checks, and any other ongoing sources of income. By the way, that freelance stuff, if you're in California, get ready because the state of California has just made an announcement that they have passed a bill that says if you are a freelance person, if you're writing articles, if you're doing freelance work on the side, if you do that work, I think it's more than 30 times for one institution or one entity, person, you have just become an employee of that entity. So if you want to have a voice in your income and you want to do those side gigs, you better talk to your local assembly person or state senate person and say, hey, you are not happy with that law. Okay, so number one, write down your total income for the month. I kind of digressed there on the stupidity of the state of California. I'm so pissed off at California because they keep attacking the small individual who wants to do something on the side and making it more difficult. Stupid. So, Write down your total income. Then on your same piece of paper that's in front of you, I want you to list all of your expenses that you incurred during the month. Think about your regular bills, your mortgage, your electricity, etc., and your irregular bills, quarterly payments like insurance or HOAs that you have to pay out that are due for the upcoming month. After that, total your other costs like food, gas, entertainment, Costco cards, whatever that all those types of expenses. Every dollar you spend should be accounted for. So whatever's going out of your pocketbook or out of your checking account or the cash out of your wallet needs to be accounted for. What are those bills? How many times are you going out to McDonald's for lunch? We need to know all that you're doing. Then number 3, you subtract your expenses from the income to equal 0. This is called a zero-based budget, meaning your income minus your expenses should equal 0. If you're over or under, check your math or simply return to the previous step and try again. Now, some of you are going to be over because I know that. When clients come into my office and we go through this process, they are always over. Why? Credit cards. Credit cards. They think everything can go on the credit card. They don't have the cash right now, so I'll put it on the credit card, which costs them more because then they're paying such a high interest and maybe even some late fees. Get away from that thought process. Create a budget that you can live within without using the credit cards. Credit cards never made anybody rich. I'm telling you. You may be buying that Louis Vuitton and look rich, but you're not because you still owe money on it. So think about this process. It's a very important process. Then the 4th thing is track your expenses throughout the month. Once you start the budget, you'll still need to stay on top of your expenses. The good news, and this good news out of this, is that every dollar makes tracking your expenses and budgeting for them extremely easy. And I would even suggest if you go to a website, it's called everydollar.com, everydollar.com, to learn this process. Those of you who don't have a budget, you're playing with fire because you don't know what's going in and you don't know what's going out. I know because I've sat down with you guys and we have gone through this process. Some of you have gotten on track and you're doing very well. But if you've got all those expenses, it's then time to say, okay, if I'm over my budget, if I'm over the amount of money that I'm bringing in, I'm doing something really wrong here and I need to make a change. So what do? Well, then you start looking at all of the expenses that your cash flow is going out on. And you say, okay, what can I cut? Look at the phone company that you're using your cell phone on. How much am I spending there? Can I get a cheaper deal someplace? Maybe I don't need all those channels on my cable TV. The $150, maybe I can cut it down to $65. It's amazing how when you start thinking about these expenses, how you can cut them and live very, very nicely. I've always had the rule, if I didn't have the cash, I wasn't going to buy it. So I've never created a credit situation for myself. So what I've done is, if I didn't have the cash available to me to purchase that item, I did something. I either created a way to bring in the cash to support it, or I saved up money to get to that point where I could buy it. All my cars are paid in cash now. Every time I buy a car, I pay cash for it. I know what kind of car I'm going to buy, and I save up for it. I also have that money put aside just in case there's an emergency. if my car breaks down, if my tires go flat, if my battery goes dead, I have an amount in my emergency account every single month that I know that it's there just in case something goes wrong. So this is why we create these budgets, so that we are able to create these other funds that can help us along the way. If you don't have an emergency fund set up, you're going to be in trouble. Because when that emergency does come, you're going to whip out your MasterCard and you're going to put on the credit card at 19% interest. How stupid is that? I was even amazed at one point in time. I had an emergency where I had to go into the ER. And it was a very painful emergency. It was a kidney stone and it hurt a lot. So when I got in there, the lady who takes care of the finances came around to me. She says, "Do you have insurance?" I said, "Yes, but how much is it going to cost me if I pay it in cash?" That $6,000 bill went down to $3,000. $6,000 to $3,000. I paid it in cash. Because that insurance company would have paid the $6,000. And my rates would have gone up and up and up because of the insurance. So, what's the point? Well, the point is, create a budget. For 2019, it's kind of done with. But if you haven't prepared one as of yet. But you have time for 2020. I want you to go out and get a journal. I want you to start writing in that journal, and I want you to put all 12 months in there at the very beginning of that journal. I want you to put all of your expenses there. And then I want you to start cutting back on the items that you do not need. And there's a lot there. You'd be surprised. Budgets are done every single year in business. We try to go out there and we try to forecast what we're going to earn, how we're going to get to that point, and all of our expenses, what items we need to increase or we need to decrease. So that at the very bottom line, we know that we have a solid cash flow coming in. So you should be doing the same thing. If you're not doing it, you're setting yourself up for failure, for debt. If you need help in the process, reach out to me. Send me a text at 818-252-5682. I do this for a living. So 818-252-5682. I can also advise you on the tax issues that will come up. But let's start putting together a budget for 2020 for you and your family. Or if you're single, for yourself. And let's get it under control. Let's get your finances under control for 2020. 2020, the year for seeing more clearly and for saving better. This is Mike Lodge. If you have any questions, let me know. This is a great time to begin changing. You've got November and December to put the budget together. Talk to me about it. Talk with you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the WBT with Michael Lodge. Join us again tomorrow as we explore more about business and taxes. Follow us on iHeartRadio and go to our podcast website at www.wbtpod.com and listen to all of our podcasts and read our blogs.
This podcast has been produced by Michael Lodge, fully focused